Hey everyone, it's Terry with the Des Moines, Iowa user group. And we just wrapped up our first user group meeting of the year here in Des Moines. And we spoke about the release notes. We had a couple different speakers who both talked about the release notes from their own perspectives. So if you are interested in what's coming down the line, take a look at this video. Hey everyone, it's Terry with Terry's Tidbits. I am so glad you're here.
So I like to notice the character for every release. This changes. But I've also heard that we have an org that has their custom logos. CRS has their custom logos, so they don't even get to see the release character every release. Can you believe that? Well, it's Cody agent surfing right now. You can go through release notes, but something I like to tell people is that as it gets close to the release, SalesforceAdmin comes out with a bunch of articles where they've already sifted through all these wonderful categories and words, and they point out some of the good stuff for you guys. So you have to completely go through release notes if you feel overwhelmed by them. You can wait for the SalesforceAdmin articles. So they have like 10 new stuff for admins, devs, hottest features, that kind of stuff. So we'll go through a bunch of items that are in this release. So first thing I wanted to pull up was the flow progress bar. It's not the coolest thing. Hasn't everybody been waiting for this? So you can do this really pretty ribbon across the top, like this guy has. And then I have a couple, I forgot to pull up my dev box, sorry, that I already have out there that you can do it on the footer or the header as well. So top of the screen, footer of the screen, that tab, you just assign your screens to stages and then it just automatically puts that path out there for you. I thought it was pretty spiffy. I started going through some of the existing flows to see how easy it was to add, and it seemed pretty easy. So new flows, it's automatically enabled when you create it, but existing flows, you may have to enable it under your flow setting within it. So if your flow was created prior to, you just have to go under your settings, click your, everything goes slow. Sorry. Eventually it'll pop up for us, but you just go through and enable it. Let's go back to it. Oh, here we go. So under your settings, it'll just give you a checkbox. And then you can select where you want it from the very start. Yeah, still going. All right. Has anybody put this in any other flows yet?
It's easy to sort up. It's a lot easier than this one. There's a progress bar that is got the name of the website. Yeah, unofficial SF that I've used before, and it was significantly hard. If this is tracking your screen, yeah, that's something.
I haven't used the unofficial SF. Karen mentioned the Avani component was pretty easy, probably. Yeah. So once if it's one of those flows that you have to enable it, if you hit your settings, you should have this new checkbox under there. And then I noticed another thing in flow. Okay, show advance, and it should have, okay, here we go. Show a progress indicator on screen elements. Gives you a little bubble. Create resources, state resources. So if you select this, then you get to select where you want it on your screens. I thought that was kind of interesting. You select it from the start, but it makes sense. So you just got to keep that in mind if that's your design. I also noticed in this release that they give you your versions up here. Isn't that nice? But I did notice something else that they did that I'm pleased with. They added this thing where if you're looking for resources, like if you're searching at all, they made it so you can search like, I think anything, I don't know, they probably have some way of explaining this, but you know how I have so many variable or elements in my phone? Oh, where'd it go? If I started typing, it doesn't show you in this one. My other, I feel like it pulls up more. I need to find that in the release, but
Yeah, I've noticed that when I create, like try to do a get elements and I'm looking for and all of a sudden it's just this long list. Like I'm looking for like the true or false global.
record, yeah, true, false,
Yeah.
yes. And then I have to try to notice the icon, to like know which one you're clicking. But whatever.
Maybe the
Click
value
in
section,
and
you can do that.
I'm sorry.
Maybe the value section, you can do it.
Oh, this is where you can put your stage. Sorry, yeah. I was just trying to get to a spot where I could search element or variable. But yeah, so you'll just put your stages. You can. I noticed that if you hover over your path on your screen, it'll tell them this label. So if you don't want to put like stage 1, stage 2, you could put like input data is stage 1 kind of deal. And they have this active by default. I think it's when you start the flow, if you want it active by default for this current stage, you would select it or which one you do want. So as you go through and you hover over, I think I need to be in debug. Then you can see the little path across the top. Have your guys' sandboxes been going slow? Okay. Because Omar's has been going extremely slow.
Yeah, our sandbox was
All of that is.
super degradated, like so bad, like 5 times slower than normal. And this morning, all of a sudden, everything's resolved out of nowhere. It's weird.
Yeah, processes running like 5 minutes now, going down to a few minutes or something like that. And
Yeah, it was like 25 minutes and down to 5 minutes now, back to normal.
yeah. So this is a little bit longer than full dev. I'm in my dev box right now, and this is longer than our full sandbox, and it should be, I think, less because it's a smaller box. Like, I don't know. Well, eventually it's going to show me, and I was going to show you that you can hover over your path and see what stage you're on when you're an end user. But we can just keep going to other cool stuff. We have a bunch of setup updates this time, but you have to go and enable them. So when you're in here under user, you'll be able to see that user management settings. Oh no, is this? Yes. Where you have a whole bunch of these enhanced profile list view, user interface, filtering, all of these guys. This is like how they're releasing these new setup features. So you do have to go and enable them. So if you didn't enable it and then you find it many releases later and you think it's new, then it's okay. It can be new whenever you find it. But some of the items in this release, like this role list view. So basically all the pretty list views that you have now are available on more pieces of setup. So like role list view, permission sets, in those summaries, you can now edit. So when you're in a perm set, if you do that perm set summary, instead of just viewing the information, you can now edit it in there. I think there's a new list view for roles, better list view, public groups, you can manage better for summaries and can edit from the summaries now. User list views are just prettier. Modify all, view all is being changed the name with this release. So instead of view all, modify all, it's view all records, modify all records. Because that makes a difference.
You were setting.
Well, it's got a new name.
Maybe.
Not,
Just while you're on that topic, did you see the view all fields new setting?
view all
In-
fields.
Yeah, in Object
Where
Manager, you can hit view all fields, like you were doing that. View all records, modify all records, there's a view all fields. Instead of having to go through each field, check.
Oh, nice.
that's nice. That stream for you. Okay.
Life changing.
Life changing, yeah. Attachments to emails. If you guys were doing the custom, splash page. Sorry, guys.
Oh, nice.
But let's look at our list views by several columns. I thought that was fun. Maybe end users will be happy about that. My debug's not coming up. Sorry, I was going to show you those stages, but it's not happy with you guys. But let's go to list view. Sorry,
Control F5.
refresh my debug. So list views, you can sort by multiple columns now. Yeah. Will they do this? Might need to go. Yeah. Might do this one specific. I do like in the release notes that they've have a suffix for anything they delivered from an idea. I like that, like delivered idea, and then they'll link you to it. Okay, here. So this is what it's supposed to look like. So now they're offering sort list views by these multiple columns, and there should be a sort option. I thought it was in preview. And then you can select either like whatever fields you want to sort by if you have multiple. I know this is something that our users have asked for. Oh, maybe I have to enable it. Okay, sorry. It'd be great if they just enabled everything for us, huh? Oh, okay, great. Yeah, you want to show that? They don't tell you how old the idea is. That's true. That's true.
Trying to get it. Right.
Oh, okay.
So you choose one sort order and then sort by something else if you choose to.
And it's still just the fields that are available. That's good.
I don't remember if that's sticky though or not. I don't you maybe come back. That's how that looks.
I don't think it sticks. To return, oh, never mind. Your list sort configuration is saved until you modify or clear it. To return to the default sort order, you have to click the settings and then clear.
Oh, you have to
reset it. Yeah, so it does save. That's good.
All right, go ahead and search.
Okay. Yeah. Let's go through some of the user stuff. So public groups roles. You guys use a ton of roles and stuff in your guys' orgs and have a bunch of public groups. No, we do. And like they also try to keep their or like they like nest everything. So like roles are in public groups, and then like certain public groups are like, I'm not sure, but it's like a whole thing in our org. So I was actually excited for this one. So much prettier. You know how before you could only see it from, I think they still offer it. Do they? Yeah. I turned it on. It was pretty. But before, remember how that there was that either the list view or the tree view. That's it, right? Whereas you can filter and use it like a normal list view, as you would expect. So if I needed to look at everything that pointed up to like a certain level, then I could filter by that kind of deal. I liked it. And I think public group summaries are here as well. Maybe I need to enable it. This one might have been it. This one's prettier. I haven't gotten used to this yet. But within your perm set summary, you should be able to now edit permissions. Like, can you imagine training a new admin now? Like, they get all these summary screens, know how to click through and figure out what's in what. Like, come on, guys. But yeah, you should be able to remove now. So it looks like maybe there's, yes, the ability to add a remove here instead of just summarizing your information. Oh, that was cool. Yeah. Those are the major things that I want. Oh, automation app. Have you guys spent some time in that? So this is like a pretty way to see your flows like in a list view instead of the flow screen in setup. I thought it was kind of nice-ish. And then when you click into a flow, you can like open the latest version and then open your flow. You can see the related version. Yeah. But from here,
mixed feelings on where they're going with that one. From what I'm hearing is the idea is that they're going to allow you as admins to give users the ability to create some types of flows, which kind of freaks me out a little bit. That's why it's not tab of this. Kind of, I think that's pretty risky, personally. But that's what the word on the street is.
Saw there was a monitor tab.
I wanted to go back
Is
to
that
that. I
like
just realized
a
this is
history
your
of-
new page for
Oh, this is your
my splash pad. Yeah. So I don't know. I think it's confusing. I just figured out how to select the flow that I wanted on the other screen. From the new button on the automation
Oh, new automation.
Yeah. is where this prettier one is, I guess. Yeah, I want to see what that monitor is as well.
The monitored is like if you had a failed interview, it would show up here. But since you're in a sandbox, you don't have it. But it is super helpful if you have in a production org, if you have a flow that's failing a lot, you can see it here and then you can actually click into it and it will like let you go into the actual flow builder and see specifically where it failed and stuff like that.
Instead of just if you were lucky enough to get the flow error email.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay, cool. Cool. Nice.
That's also nice to have a good place to go see a history of all of the errors. So if you're getting any consistent error, it's nice to be able to see that history.
Nice. I think that's all my cool stuff, man.
On the setup side, what you're seeing is that they actually are focusing on trying to get setup updated to the new Lightning interface, and that's why you're starting. That's not why you're seeing some of these changes. Some of it's being done out of necessity, thanks to show fulfillment. But you'll notice that when you're in setup, you'll see some that have that old button, those small little buttons that have been there forever. Those are old classic screens that have just been ported into Lightning. And then any of the new things you see, it's the nicer looking format. It looks like Lightning's the distinct view difference there. They're in the process of getting all of that stuff updated. So we'll continue to see where that we'll have new features, new capabilities, new look and feel.
Have you heard from the community that like there's an overall smooth delivery of it? Or do you feel as if you've heard a lot of like bugs?
No, it's all been positive, pretty positive feedback.
Because you want to know one thing I can't do anymore?
There's a few things I don't
Like I
it's
can't,
just different.
yeah,
Change.
I can't go from a user record to their contact record anymore.
Oh,
Community users. No, I don't have any. Never mind.
thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I can't go from this. Like, you know how you used to be able to click through this to get to your UI side for your customer portal? Yeah, I hope that they
Interesting.
get all the notifications on all of their updates.
I don't know that that's a new screen even. That looks like the old.
Yeah, I think it is the old one. Yeah. So lots of fun stuff with the release. Should be coming out on like Valentine's Day for everybody.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
To continue on with that same theme of release stuff, Abby is coming up. She'll get some. Joseph, I see you. How are you?
I have the plague, so I won't be there with all of you, but I'm so excited to be here. Hello, everyone.
Well, like Nancy all over the place. I was going to say something, but that wouldn't probably come across right. I have this new puppy, or I have a puppy. If you've been to the house, you've seen my puppy. And we refer to him as very bouncy because he's like super active. As you were sitting there dancing around, it kind of reminded me of my dancing little puppy at home.
I love that.
But he's cute though too. Just saying.
I love it.
To share my screen.
Are you logged into the meeting?
I am not. I don't even have.
Go to Zoom and you can log into the meeting the same way Samantha just did it. I'll give you the info.
Abby, I just teamed you a link.
I love you, Carissa. You are my favorite person.
Oh.
I mean, she's been she keeps me sane.
It's good to have people like that in our life.
Like this.
I would suggest turning off your camera and your audio.
I'm getting there, Carissa. Jeez.
Oh, that's hurtful.
My real job title is Give Abby
Did you see
Crown.
how quick it went from this love fest to just
Right.
shut up?
Just stop talking. Okay, so I haven't met some of you people, and all the names on the screen are very unfamiliar to me, but I am Abby Douglas. I am currently the Director of Enterprise Revenue Systems at ESO. We're a software company here in Des Moines. Carissa Christensen, I was going to call her Crittenden, throwback, actually works for me over there. So biggest kind of joke that I was telling my team yesterday, I was like, okay, I have the best joke ever. And I was like, Carissa has asked me to present on release fund that is coming up in this release. And if any of you know me, I have been out of Salesforce development for a hot minute, but I've been doing it for about 14 years. Makes me feel really old. So when you were talking about how admins do it in the current setup, honey, it is night and day from when Terry and I were in it a long time ago. Especially when anything. You and I, we came up together. But help.salesforce.com was all we had. That was it. And then you had the answers community. Steve Moe was the only reason I feel like I actually was able to come up as an admin over the years. And Terry actually helped me a lot in my early days. So I am not Carissa, as you can see on the screen. I'm Abby, and I'm just going to go over some of the kind of features that I kind of walking through the release notes thought were interesting, and then what Carissa did as well. I did review all 674 pages of them to pull out some of the cool things. But we'll scroll through this. No, not obviously there. Slideshow. Okay, so general updates. I think it's about time. Custom reports got a glow up this year. And I think that's a really kind of important feature because I think custom report types are something that I think are not leveraged to their fullest potential in Salesforce because there's a lot of things that you can do with using lookup data and kind of filtering through lookups to get to additional objects to extend the functionality of what reports can do. So now in Lightning, we have the new and improved interaction with custom report types. However, if you kind of see over here, they are kind of marrying in some of the old school style a little bit. But in general, I think it's going to be a lot easier for admins to walk through creating custom report types and extending the functionality of those. We've also added additional fields that you can pull in through the lookup. I think it used to be like 500 or something through lookups. Now I think it's like 1,000. So that's a pretty cool feature. Also, the min-max aggregates on date fields in reports. So now you can see the earliest and the the newest and the oldest record on these. And I think it's going to be really cool when we start looking at like activity records and some of these objects where dates are really important, opportunities potentially. And so all you have to do is go into right-click, summarize, and then view min-max on the date fields. And then user management, Samantha already talked a lot about that. I think it's about time that it got a glow up. So it's going to be a little bit easier for individuals to work through those. We also have some new fields coming through with these as well. And I have those listed up there at the top. As well as other user management, we talked through permission sets, getting some revisions, roles as well. But you do have to enable all these features. So make sure you turn that on to get all of the goodness. And then permission sets got our permission set groups also got a makeover, but I think Samantha covered most of that. And then the view all fields permission, I know we kind of briefly talked through that. I think it's going to be a nice benefit for our teams that leverage all the fields on an object. And not necessarily just have a customized view like accounts and contacts. I don't know if I would necessarily have this feature on, but maybe in support in the case object you might. But this is, I think, going to be really nice for organizations that use DevOps and use like actual dev pipelines and push things from a test org into a production org, because a lot of times you don't push in some more organizations that have a mature DevOps strategy. You don't necessarily push permissions up through your pipelines when you're making metadata changes, or this would allow those fields to flow all the way through so you don't have to, day of deployment, go in and provision all the new fields that may have came up. So view all fields is now available. And then the sort by multiple columns, talked through that. It is not sticky. So I know that was a question. It is not sticky, so you will have to go back and add that in as well. And it is only for certain objects. It was very unclear in the release notes which ones it worked for. It just said object home pages, but then it had in Salesforce Bennett alluded to not all objects had it. So don't get all of your users excited until you've tested it in production first. And then Sales Cloud Agent Force. A lot of things, like going through the release notes, everything is AI based that's really coming out. And I think we're going to see that over the next couple years, that everything is going to be predominantly branded Agent Force. But just note that Einstein Copilot is now Agent Force. So if you were previously purchasing it or are in talks about it or have documentation, Copilot is Agent Force. So all of Salesforce documentation has not been updated to reflect that. And it was a little confusing because we are in the process of purchasing some of those tools. Account plans. I don't know, Carissa, please help me with this one. Are these new? Or have account plans been around for a while?
This is hilarious, Abby. You had a spike ticket for us to look at these. Like,
yep, I did probably. That sounds
anyway.
Like
they're new-ish. To those of us who've been in the game a long time, they probably feel new, but I think they've been around for at least a year.
I think I do remember putting a spike ticket for my dev team to take a look at these. But I think this is a really cool feature that Salesforce has put in, because it really helps doing when you're thinking about territory sales, like regionalized selling or having selling teams. This really helps keep them aligned, and especially if you're trying to do more like post initial sales, so upsells and renewals within organizations. This can be used for those like QBRs and annual business reviews, and I think would fit really nicely within a lot of sales orgs. And then coordinated sales teams activities. This just really helps with that QBR and team-based selling. So if you do have that approach within your teams, I'd recommend taking a look at this, because I think there's a lot of goodness that can be driven out of these tools. And then pipeline forecasting, it's just forecasts have gotten a new name to be pipeline forecasting. And then also, I think they used to be called consumption forecasting back in the day, but that might be dating me back a couple names ago.
No, it was customizable, like collaborative and customizable, I think.
Consumption forecasting. Yes. Collaborative forecasting.
Yes.
So
Let's all keep ourselves, everyone. How long have you admin? What did you first call forecasting?
yes. And then, so now though you can do consumption-based forecasting within these as well. And they did make some changes to account for seasonal trends in forecasts as well, so that you can have kind of fluctuations throughout months or quarters if forecasts do change. Because before it was just you get one and done. Now they're making it so that you can see those seasonality changes, or a ramp period. So if you have a rep that's on a 120-day ramp and then they go into their full quota, this will help with that as well. Flow, I think Samantha did a really great job covering all of the updates from here. Automated trigger screens. This one would be one that I would probably have Carissa talk through because I do not do flow on a daily basis anymore. But do you have words for this one?
I can make up words. So basically, it lets you auto launch it, or an auto launch flow can be triggered based on interaction on a screen, from what I gathered. So it's like the user interacts with this particular screen, and then after they're done interacting with it, it launches the screen that you select. It launches the flow that you select. That flow runs, and then the user gets like a new screen. So it's like a weird subflow sort of thing.
So is it like a trigger, a record triggered flow, but it's specifically allows you to bring up screens?
From what it looked like, it wasn't actually record triggered flows. It was like your standard auto launch flow. It kind of reminded me of, with the way they named it, I thought it was going to be like my old school method of you make a screen flow with no screen so that you can trigger an auto launch flow from a button. It's kind of like that. I don't know. This is probably one that it's best to go look at the release notes and learn about. And it's beta right now, so you can play with it. But
there really wasn't a lot of information about it in release notes.
The name makes it sound as if you could trigger a screen to come up.
Right. Yeah.
That's what I was wondering, if it was going to be like a record-based triggered flow, but with screens.
With screens, which
like
would be kind of
pops
cool.
up the screen, your stage changed, so therefore the screen.
So now you need to fill this stuff in or something. Yeah.
The name is a misnomer from what I could extrapolate. The name does not actually correlate with what it is, from what I could tell. This is probably one of those things that Salesforce is like, we're going to roll this out and see what happens. So if you like to play with flow, play with that and then report back what it actually does.
Yes, that would be fantastic. And then built-in progress indicators. I feel sad because I have had my team build custom screen flow components for a lot of these things for us. And this is one that we have a custom one that we built because I didn't like how the unofficial SF one worked. So we'll see if this one will work the way I think it should work. But it's nice that now admins have the ability to leverage these because I think they're really important from a user experience to set expectations of how long it's going to take to get through some things, because you can do like different stages within the flow or things like that. I don't know. So lots of things to do there. Streamline flow creation. Carissa was really excited about this one. I have no words on it. So new way to create new flows. And then now we have keyboard shortcuts, just a couple of them, but kind of excited that we finally have those for admins to leverage. And then other features that are available, the improved error panel. Errors were absolutely atrocious to read through before, so hopefully they are a little bit easier now. And then I do like the version functionality that you can toggle between versions. This is really nice when you're trying to debug and figure out what changed between two different versions. If you introduced a bug into a production environment, it's be easier to toggle between them. And then Einstein and Flow. I have a lot of choice thoughts on this one. Most of choice words, but I don't think most of them are great. I think it's going back to what Terry said, and they're kind of starting to allow admins to create non-admins to create flows in Salesforce. This is kind of helping them. While AI is great, I think there's a lot of nuances in how you should develop things within Salesforce environments to best accommodate all the other factors like legacy automation or Apex and things like that this won't take into consideration. So please use this carefully. But it'd be fun to try. And then Einstein and Flow, I think this is one of the features I was actually excited about, was it documenting what your flow does for your tickets. So I, as a leader, it's really nice. I really encourage all of my developers to document out the work they've done on their tickets. So this is a really great start for them, is to summarize the flow and then add supplementary knowledge around what AI was able to provide them on what the flow is doing. It just gets us further into Salesforce being like any other application within the dev environment, is documentation of everything that we're doing next to the code. So that will be a very cool feature. And then Einstein and Flow, it can help you with your formula fields. For a newer admin, I think this is a great feature because sometimes those can be a little bit nuanced. So any help you guys can get would probably be great. And then flow monitoring. This is just very helpful when things are airing out or if you have things that are paused. I'm just seeing them in a easier to digest format. But it will be interesting over the next couple years to see where Salesforce takes automation as a whole. And how that impacts the orgs. I don't know if maybe you're kind of feeling the same thing, that it feels like Salesforce is trying to get closer to the HubSpot model of having more, allowing more junior level people to administer the platforms, like more business partner administration of the platform versus developers.
Right. Well, and what they find is they've done a lot of studies on features that users have within their org that aren't being used. And so they're trying to make it easier for people to be able to see that. And you can actually, it's in setup now, I think. You can go and see a listing of all of your features, like everything you're entitled to and what you're using and not using. And it's now simply just a button to enable some of these things, which is pretty darn scary. Yeah. And that was the feedback all of us MVPs gave Salesforce. It's like, because they made it look just so easy, because the enable, they showed you what the issue was, or the feature, enable button right next to it, and then down below you have all this other information about it. And we simply asked, can you just move the enable button to the bottom, force them to read what they're about to do before they turn these things on? Yes. We lost that evidently because it's still right at the top of the screen.
Yeah. Well, I think that Salesforce wants to make it appear easy to do, to administer the platform, but we all know that it can be quite complex and nuanced. So it'll be interesting to see where they take that over the next several years. And then a lot of these things are years in the making. You can see some of these things are from summer of 2019. So Salesforce is always taking a look at what we're recommending and trying to put them into practice. I was very sad, though, that out of all 674 pages of release notes, I did see that Salesforce has still not tried to deliver twin fields outside of CPQ, which makes me very sad, because they are my all-time favorite Salesforce piece of functionality, which I think is probably steel bricks back in the day anyway. So, but it made me a little sad. So that's my new rant. If any of you have read on the custom address field idea exchange item, I posted probably every week for several years about how I wanted that. So twin fields outside of CPQ is my new custom address field that I'm going to continue to try to push. And then finally, 19 years in the making, we can finally have a new user welcome email. Instead of that generic one that everyone thinks is spam sitting in their inbox on their first day of employment, we can now have a custom one, which will be really great because then for all the orgs that do single sign-on, you can put your single sign-on information in there instead of trying to teach them how to do that after the login page. So very exciting for that one. And then my newest favorite thing coming out of Salesforce is the new license edition, Einstein 1 licenses or E1 licenses that are being rolled out. If anybody is not familiar with Salesforce's current licensing structure, I'm going to say current because I have a feeling it's going to change drastically this year. But we had previously 3 different editions, professional, enterprise, and unlimited. And we have now have an E1 license, which is going to be sales or service cloud focused. So they have 2 different kind of functions that they fill. But from a sales perspective, you get everything that's in professional, enterprise, and unlimited, but then you get the agent force, sales planning, Salesforce Maps, Slack, revenue intelligence, data cloud, all of these additional features. And if you kind of start to look at the price of adding on Salesforce Maps and some of those things, it may make, if you have unlimited and then you also have Salesforce Maps, it may make sense to just upgrade and then get all the additional functionality. And then from a service perspective, you get a lot of other functionalities available to you as well. Ones that I want to call out are the communities. So you get Portal or Experience Cloud. I call it all 3 of them because I don't actually know what it's called these days. I think it's Experience Cloud. But you get Experience Cloud and so many login sessions per that one. I'm going to go to service first and then we'll go back to sales. But here are the entitlements for Service Cloud. So you'll see that for the Experience Cloud, you get 50 logins per user per month. And so that equates to 600 logins per year per license. So if you have 2 licenses for E1, you get 1,200 login sessions per year. And as you add more licenses, you get more and more and more. And then you do also get the generative AI requests and conversation insights as well, which are some really cool features within the Service Cloud space. So we at ESO are going to be actually implementing Agentforce within the Service Cloud side. So it's going to be really interesting to see how all of this plays out. But I think this is their first entry into the consumption model that I think is coming out, where you start to see you get so many tokens or hours leveraging the tools, then you can purchase additional consumption on top of that. So going back to the sales side, you do get Salesforce Maps and then the conversation insights and other tools. And the conversation insights from sales is more, think of like Chorus or something like that, or Gong that records the call and then can give you insights into the call. So a lot is kind of coming out with the Agentforce within these spaces. But again, you'll see that you have the consumption model behind the license as well. So any questions on these, feel free to shoot me a message offline. I'm happy to talk through those, but there's a lot there. And then Samantha did talk through some of the resources available to you. You can use Salesforce resources, but then there's also Salesforce Ben and then sales release notes abridged on SFXD. Or you can just be like me and old school and open up a PDF and scroll through 600 pages. Choices first. Okay, any questions? And then Chris had a nice little slide here that she skimmed release notes.
Very good. Thank you. I was going to show you, if you've not seen that feature that I was just talking about, where you can see the features in your org that you don't have implemented. If I can find them, I can show you where that is. quick, and then we will wrap things up for today.
Can I add one thing that I noticed?
Yeah.
That they are increasing the custom field so you can put on activities from 100 to 300.
Okay.
So when I took over my org,
Oh.
they were already maxed out at 100.
Oh, for activities.
It's
Yeah.
like crap.
I wish they would just redo activities.
Yeah,
entirely.
that'd be nice.
That would be nice too. Yeah. So in setup, it is called Sales Cloud Go. And so it shows you your features that you're not using in your org, and you can click into it. And this is that instantly turn it on feature. And then everything that is going to turn on is all listed down here for you. I would have liked them to force you to read that and then enable down to the bottom. But you don't have any, if you click that button, it's coming on. So, so yeah, just be aware of that. It's kind of, what I do like is that it's interesting to at least see some of the things that you have in your org that you're not using. I mean, that's kind of cool to be able to see that. But I think that's why they're driving to some of these, make it easier. Because if you're in most of us, I think, are in larger orgs. But if you're in a small company and you may not even have an admin there, some of this is nice for them because they can take advantage of things that they would otherwise have to probably hire somebody to go do. So I get the idea, but yep, thanks for coming, Jenna. I get the idea, but I just am a little nervous about people not being careful about what they're turning on and off.
You can turn it off once you turn it on.
You can turn it off by going through
One by one.
Yeah, going through the process of shutting it down. There's no easy off button. Yeah. So anyway, it might be fun to look at for you. With that, I think we have everything done for today. So thank you for joining online. I appreciate you all. And hopefully you found something there that was new and exciting that you can try out in your orgs. So thanks for joining. We'll see you next month.